Hey there, this is Lynn. Today is Weigh-In Monday. It is my weekly weigh-in, and I've just completed 46 weeks on the carnivore diet. And so I'm here to report my results from this past week. Just to kind of do a little quick recap, which I haven't done for a while. I went on the carnivore diet because was basically almost 350 pounds. Was almost a complete cripple. I was totally disabled, on disability, could barely walk. I was, limping around all over the place. I had mast cell activation syndrome and had to go on medical leave from my nursing job after a huge mast cell activation flare. And, head to toe symptoms, cognitive symptoms, heart palpitations, couldn't get a deep breath, horrible rosacea, gut, abdominal cramping, joint pain, muscle pain, bone pain, my bladder irritability. My bladder would just release its contents without notice. So many issues, and couldn't even speak without slurring or, not being able to find my words. Just symptoms head to toe, like I said. And incredibly severe fatigue. I mean, disabling fatigue. And so I had a huge flare and had to go on medical leave. And even a little bit of heat would trigger a more acute reaction: throat swelling, nausea, heart palpitations, dizziness. And dizziness is a really big deal with me with my condition. I also have orthostatic intolerance, where if I stand in one place for more than a few minutes, I feel like I'm going to pass out. I got to sit down. It's not severe. I haven't ever passed out, but it's gotten better. It used to be maybe 30 seconds to a minute, and I'd start to get dizzy and feel that blood rush out of my head. I can go longer now because I'm definitely in a lot better condition than I was. But anyways, I decided to do the carnivore diet. My husband suggested, why don't you try the carnivore diet and see what it does for you. So I've lost a lot of weight. My symptoms are much better. My rosacea is basically cleared up. And, it's been over 10 months now. And so April has been very interesting. It's been very kind of flatlined, a little bit of weight gain. Now I do have my daughter's wedding coming up in a little over 2 weeks. And so there's additional stress. I'm kind of pre-grieving it, going through the empty nester syndrome. She's our youngest. She's going to be 28 in a couple weeks, but she had been out of the house. So we kind of went through empty nest syndrome then, but I had a feeling she was going to come back, and she did. This time she's not coming back. So I am dealing with some, pre-grieving losing her, because her and I are very close. And we're going to see her a ton. She's not moving far away. She's only moving like 20 minutes away north of us. And I'm going to see her a lot, but still. So I'm not sleeping well. Haven't been sleeping well for a long time. And part of it's my fault, because her and I tend to stay up late and hang out together. And we only have a little more than 2 weeks left to do that. So this is my life right now. So this month has been very interesting. And so as an update from last week, and I've been doing my rebounding challenge. I haven't been posting a lot, but I am doing it. And there was a couple of days where I wasn't able to do it because I was invited by my daughter to go on her bachelorette getaway. So I mentioned last week we went to Leavenworth. We went Thursday, which was my 56th birthday. So I'm now 56. I was really curious to see what that metabolic age on my scale would do. So I'm going to let you know what happened there. Because my body composition scale thinks I'm 62. And it's been driving me absolutely crazy. But then I was 55. Now I'm 56. And I was curious, is it going to bump me up to 63? Anyways. So Thursday we went to Leavenworth, her whole bridal party. She's got 4 bridesmaids. And then, so there were 6 of us. And they took me out to dinner Thursday night, and I had a ribeye steak, and that my daughter paid for, which was really sweet. And we had such a good time. And I kept with my carnivore diet. I basically had a ribeye and some beef sticks and stuff like that. And I did have Zevias, and I typically am really careful when it comes to things like that, but everyone else was having their like hard seltzers, and they had wine and stuff that did, and their mojitos, and um, so I don't drink any alcohol. So, but they did bring a bunch of Zevias, so I did have way more Zevias than I normally would have, and it sure looks like my connection is not good, so I'm not sure if I should restop this. There's a delay. Yeah, I think I'm going to start it and restop it. Okay, let's see if this is better. Yeah, it looks better. I don't know what was going on. There was I was seeing a delay in my, I don't know if it's going to show up for you guys. We'll see. But anyways, my diet, I did, like I said, I just ate the ribeyes, but I did have some beverages. My coffee, I couldn't always get the heavy cream, so I did have some half and half, some milk, so some couple things I don't usually have. But we had a really, really fun time, and I did a lot of walking. And Leavenworth is awesome, and I'll probably put some pictures or something up here. But I did a lot of walking, and I do have a vestibular conduction disorder. So when I'm in stores, like side to side head movement is a trigger for me. It makes me really dizzy. And so when I'm in stores, if I'm looking back and forth at things, in the store, after a little bit of time, I'll start to get dizzy. My equilibrium will get off. And so I knew that was going to happen at some point, because we're going from store to store to store. And so I had planned, and I do geocaching. I love geocaching. And so I was looking to see, are there geocaches right there? And of course there are. So I decided I'm going to go do some on my own. So I did a couple of geocaches, and then I did an Adventure Lab walking tour. And if you haven't looked up Adventure Lab, it links to the geocaching app. So if you have an Adventure Lab account, which is free, it'll sync with the geocaching app, and you can click on the Adventure Labs in the geocaching app. It'll pop you over to the Adventure Lab app. You can do the Adventure Lab, and then it'll sync back with the geocaching, and you can get credit for it in the geocaching app. So if you do geocaching, hopefully you know what I'm talking about. But if you don't know about Adventure Labs, you don't need to have a geocaching account to even do the Adventure Labs. They're really fun. So people create them, and they're basically like walking tours. And if you ever like to go do walking tours around cities, like architectural or historic tours, discovering things that you normally wouldn't necessarily know about, these are a lot of fun. And they take you to different locations, and you have to be like at the location, and then you have to answer a question. The question isn't even available until you're at that location. So it's kind of cheat proof. But anyways, I did 2 of those while I was there, and they were mural walking tours. And so one of them took me down one of the streets called Commercial, I think it's called Commercial Avenue, a mural walking tour. And then the other one took me back up the main, like it's called Front Street. And there's amazing murals there. All right, so my screen keeps freezing, so I can see I have to patch a bunch of stuff together. But anyways, I did a lot of walking, so that was good. And so I did get exercise. And then Saturday, we went down to this park where there's trails that go out to a river, and it was so gorgeous. The weather was incredibly beautiful, and the river was gorgeous, and snow-capped mountains all around. And yeah, so it was really nice. I got lots of sunshine, lots of vitamin D, lots of walking in. But I came home and I weighed myself. And now I don't usually weigh myself later in the day, so I know there's a difference. And I weighed myself with clothes on, so there's a difference. But last week I had weighed in at 256.6. And so I thought, I'm going to jump on the scale and see what happens. I was like 261 point something. I'm like, what? You're telling me I gained 5 pounds? Now I was eating more, but I'm like, really? I'm only eating meat. What? So I decided, all right, fine. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to let my body adjust. Now I think I was retaining water. So I was like, okay, I'm going to drink a lot of water. And I definitely noticed that on yesterday, I was going to the bathroom a lot more. So I think a lot of it might have been fluid, but I was very curious to see what would happen today when I weighed in. I'm like, I don't know what to expect. So let me see. Oh, one funny thing is that while we were there, the bridesmaids, a couple of them decided to do planks. And of course, they're all a lot younger than me, and I think in their early 30s. And so I said, "Oh, I'll do one." And it was so funny because one of them was like kind of surprised, because I held it longer. Longer than both of them, and she was like shaking, going, "Lynn," and I was just holding. I probably could have. I held it longer after she went down. I could have held it longer. I held it maybe for another 10 seconds or whatever, and it was. We didn't time it, but she said it was over a minute, and yeah, I could have gone longer. I decided to stop there. I wasn't even shaking, and but I was starting to feel it. But anyways, that was funny. It was really cool. Like, that was a huge ego boost for me to be like, awesome, I can still do these planks and I can do them well. And so that was pretty cool. So anyways, let's see. I think I've got everything down here. But yeah, so the wedding, I may not be posting as much. I'm going to post my weekly videos. But I mean, we do have a wedding in a couple of weeks. And so we'll see how much I post over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to try to at least film stuff so that I can, show some things later. And we'll just see how much energy I have. I do have another, week and a half or so before a lot of family starts coming into the area. But anyways, let's get on to my results and see what happened. So I weighed in this morning at 256.4. So that's definitely down from the 261. I don't know what that was. I think that was an anomaly. I'm not going to even worry about it. But this is exactly where I was 2 weeks ago. And again, this month has been really flatlining. I'm suspecting it's because we got a lot going on and my sleep isn't good and all the stuff I've already commented on. And I have been eating a lot because I'm trying to combat my hair loss, because I had that massive drop in February of weight. And, so I've been losing hair. I think the hair loss has slowed down, if not kind of come to a halt. So I'm hoping it's going to start to grow back. It's not growing back in time for the wedding. But anyways, so the scale had me down 0.2, but this is something different. I never lose my fat-free body weight. That's the good tissue. That's the good stuff, right? Bone and muscle, and I never lose in that area. For the first time, I went down by 0.4 in my fat-free body weight. So unfortunately, that means that even though my scale lost down by 0.2, my fat is up by 0.2. So I did a little bit of trading of tissue here, and my fat is up by 0.2. So this is the first time that I've actually lost in that fat-free body weight area. And I'm not sure why. It's one of these things I'm going to have to, it just may be a compilation of everything that's going on, potentially. And because I was eating lots of steak this week, and that generally tends to lend itself to muscle at least staying the same, if not gaining. But yeah, this week it was different. So it looks like I'm starting to pause again. All right, just restarted my video again. I don't know what the deal is with my internet connection today. But anyways, so my muscle is actually down by 0.2. That is the thing that is the first. It was 116.2. So it's my bones stayed the same. So my fluid also is down by 0.2. So that accounts for the 0.4 of fat-free body weight loss. So yeah, so I'm not happy with the 0.2 of fat gain this week. I don't ever like any fat gain, but it's very minimal. So I'm assuming that once things kind of level out with, the wedding is over and my life kind of resumes something resembling normal, hopefully I'll pick back up where I left off because I still have a whole lot of weight to lose. But overall, my total scale loss since the beginning, May 31st of 23, my total scale loss is 83.2 pounds. I've gained 24.2 pounds of good tissue. So my fat loss is 107.4. It was almost 109 last week. So it's down. But it is what it is. And it's not realistic to expect that things are going to have this constant trajectory. It's ups and downs, and as long as the trend is going in the right direction, then I'm fine. And I fully expected that I would hit a plateau at some point, And 10 months of steady progress is fantastic. And so I'm not surprised, especially this is the month of my daughter's, or, we're getting ready for my daughter's wedding and it's the real countdown to her wedding. I'm not surprised that this is what I'm dealing with this month. So overall muscle, I've gained 24.2 pounds. I've gained 1.6 pounds of bone. And so as of this weekend weigh-in, my fluid is down 1.6 pounds from the beginning. But I've had fluid going up and down, and some weeks my overall fluid loss is 0 or gain is 0. Sometimes it's up 0.2, but this is the largest amount of fluid drop I've had. So I'm suspecting that I did, I was probably retaining a little bit of fluid. But anyway, so that is it. So let's take a look. My visceral fat has stayed the same, which is pretty common. It takes 4 weeks or so. But look at that metabolic age. My scale now has me at 63. Oh my goodness. Okay. So it knows I had a birthday. And instead of saying, okay, we're going to pretend like you didn't have a birthday and we're now going to give you a 6-year gap in your real age versus your metabolic age. No, we're going to adjust it. So you still have a 7-year gap because it goes by, other metrics. And apparently it goes by this wave and this angle of these waves that crisscrosses the stand on the electrodes, and it sends these waves up and down my body. And everything I read is that there's the waves kind of intersect each other like this, and the angle at which they intersect determines my metabolic rate and my metabolic age. And it's kind of like an ultrasound. If you're familiar with ultrasound, the sound in an ultrasound machine bounces off the tissues, and different tissues will project differently. The sound will project a different image. And so that's how they can use ultrasound to determine, the tissues, to see what's normal and see if there's something abnormal in your tissues, like a tumor or a cyst or something. This is kind of the same general idea, is that these waves react to bounce, I guess, differently off of the different tissues, whether it be muscle, bone, fat, fluid, whatever. And so somehow it's smart enough and it calculates that this angle at which the waves bounce off has a determination as far as my health. So now I'm metabolically 63 instead of 62. But it is what it is. This is a marathon, not a sprint. I was 55 years in poor health. If you start me from the beginning of my life, yes, my mother did have a regular vaginal birth. She did not breastfeed me. So I started out not being breastfed. I started out with formula that back in the 60s. I don't know how good the formulas were back then. I grew up with no real butter in the house. It was all margarine. It was all, vegetable oils, Crisco. That was what I grew up with. My mom was not a very creative cook. I grew up with a lot of canned stuff and a lot of Velveeta cheese and then I ended up with my own issues later in life, with my mental health issues, my polycystic ovarian syndrome and my mast cell activation syndrome. And I'm fading out again. I got to stop this video again. Okay. So, my infertility, all the fertility treatments that I had in my 20s, 4 times having artificial insemination, all those shots, messing up my female hormones, my stint in a psychiatric hospital with clinical level anxiety. I mean, this all messes up your system. Horrible eating, sugar addiction, that is not going to correct in 10 months. I mean, my sugar addiction, I feel like I've overcome it. It's gone. I could be around sugar and don't have any problems. But all of that abuse of my body is not going to correct in 10 months. So I have patience. I'm going to hang in there and just continue to push forward. This is a lifetime commitment to change my diet. And so I know there's going to be ups and downs, and I'm just going to keep plodding forward and, hopefully going to get more exercise. The weather's getting nicer, and get out there and get more exercise and, continue to move forward. So anyways, that's it for today. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day and a wonderful week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.